No. Okay. As you see these drivers now working their way on lap 3 already of 160. These laps are going to go by very, very fast here, especially in the next gen series, because we do have long green flag runs. As you see these drivers now using that high groove, but it looks like the inside line is the preferred line right now. But as this race goes on, you're going to see these drivers move up to that top groove, get that runoff to catch that leader here on lap number 4 out of 160.
Working lap number 4, we do want to apologize, of course, for all of you that are just tuning in. It seems like our feed did not go live for reasons I can't quite understand. But we, of course, are glad to have you with us here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. I'm not sure what caused the stream not to start, but here it is, as we're already on lap number 5. Looks like Brandon Honeycutt, our race leader, he leads Brandon Zimmerman by about 0.4 of a second, as Zimmerman just ran the fastest lap of the race at 23.35 seconds. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus with you here, and we are glad to have you once again here with us for the Racers Elite Cup Series. These drivers really giving each other a lot of room on the racetrack tonight, and these Cup Series cars are kind of good for that. Realistically, here's some of the issue. These cars are not designed to be side-by-side, all kinds of crazy, as we ride along right here with Greg Robinson. And, you know, here's the thing. If you get side-by-side, you run the risk of taking air off that side panel of the car. You upset them, bad things happen. You've got to get a good run on somebody and try to work on them one at a time. And that's what this league does. This league puts a lot of time into safe driving. We see up here Jason Bottoms, as he's currently running in 10th position, all by his lonesome up here. Plenty of room around him. You know, and I realize it's the early segment of this race, but, you know, we're going to see some things tighten up here on the racetrack. As, of course, I was just on the phone with Jonathan Leach. Thank God that he was paying attention to tonight's broadcast, or lack of a broadcast, to start off the evening. As now Truth Hoke just went fastest at 23.34 seconds, as he's down a lap, down 2 laps. Not sure how that all broke out, but there's Truth Hoke down a pair of laps. Brandon Zimmerman, though, out of Gloucester, leads the way here on lap number 9, Daniel.
Yeah, lap number 9 now in the books out of 160. Brandon Zimmerman didn't have a great week last week at the Glen. Now up here inside the top 3, continuing to do what he does best, and that is to lead races. But I want to focus back on a 3rd position here, Dave. And that be in 3rd place, the 20 of Rodriguez. Remember last week, guys, he was leading that whole race besides pit stops. But, you know, they had an incident late in the race, made a mistake, cost him the win. You know, this could be another week that Rodriguez could get another, you know, his first win. And it wouldn't shock me, because right now he's sitting comfortably in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, he sits comfortably in P3 right now. It was a real shame to watch him have to give that lead up last week at Watkins Glen. But you know what? Miles the Monster here, he's got a little something for the rest of this field as we take a peek back at Paul Shaw running in the 11th spot. He's already dropped two positions. A lot of this field has started to gain here. Greg Robinson, Sam Kohlhaas, Kensley Smith, and Diego Rodriguez, all where they started this race. Truth Hoke, after starting in 5th position, all the way back to 17th. Not sure if he had a mechanical issue or not. But looking from behind, whacking the wall is Troy Thomas in the 88. Let's see what happened there. That was something that I'm guessing he didn't plan for. Here comes Hoke rolling out of turn 2. And, you know what? That's something that we're going to see a lot of here at Dover. We see a lot of people get wild coming out of 2, and that backstretch is just treacherous. The transition between the banking and, you know, getting onto the stretch itself is just really violent, even for these independent suspension next-gen cars.
On lap 14 out of 160, Zimmerman still leading the way. You're looking through the rest of the field right now. I see in 4th place the 15 Kensley Smith, who won last week at the Glen. No surprise that he has won a race so far this season. He's a very strong, talented driver. Looking further back, rounding out your top 5, we have 98 Andrew Teff. Just outside the top 5, we have Ira Kohlhaas, Dennis Kane, Wayne Scott, Jason Bottoms. So these are drivers, Dave, that, have been having a really good season compared to last season, such as the 4 of Dennis Kane, who got a win earlier this season at Auto Club.
Yeah, as we take a look and see where Dennis Kane's running right now here in 7th position, right now he's got the 4 kind of nestled in here. He's got about 2 seconds to Kohlhaas in front of him and about 1.5 seconds to Wayne Scott behind him. He's kind of in a nice, comfy position. 17 laps here in the books right now. And, I mean, a lot of these drivers, this is just when those tires are starting to come in as far as wear goes. And, I mean, even as we look from above here, we're going to start to see, I'm afraid, Brandon Zimmerman begin to get ready to lap the field. We take a look where Alan Bergen is, and here he is. Let's take a look from the rear of Alan Bergen. There are the leaders behind him. There's no denying that Bergen is under assault here as the 65 and the 13 get past him. And they're going to bring along Diego Rodriguez here in the 20. So Bergen is just sliding backward helplessly. And, at this point, there's nothing to do but get out of the way for Kensley Smith, who also works his way past Bergen.
Well, it doesn't take long to get lapped down here at Dover. So once you're lapped down, okay, that's no biggie. But you don't want to be, having other 4 or 5 cars getting lapped down, because you do know you're not going to get your lap back. And it's hard once you start getting lapped on short track, Steve. It's really hard to get your lap back unless it's just a full race of cautions.
Well, and, without talking to some of these drivers as we generally try to do, I'm not sure whether or not these cars are going to tighten up or loosen up getting deeper into the run. But usually at Dover, we start to see these cars really get tight, and you've got to suddenly brake, way early before hitting those stretches. And, especially, let's take a ride along here with Brandon Zimmerman, just for argument's sake. Now, Zimmerman, we see him crossing the start-finish line. He's not going to, because of where he is right now in the run with this car, he doesn't have to brake until pretty late. He can drive in pretty hard in the corner. As he rolls out of here, this is where you've got to be ginger on the throttle. That backstretch is still twisted sideways, all kinds of crazy. And he's even able to keep it mid-throttle through this turn. Let's take a look here at the dashboard. Watch that throttle line on the right-hand side, all but 170 miles per hour. He's still in the throttle as he gets passed by Brandon Zimmerman. So he's not even coming all the way out of the throttle. He may be trail braking coming in here to the turns, as he's about 75%, 137 miles per hour.
For me at Dover, Delaware, Dave, when I raced on this track, I would be going into turn number 1 about 140 miles per hour, I would say. And then going down the front stretch and back stretch, I'd be going around 180. So they're braking around, 40 miles per hour. That's the difference. But, once they get out of line, they're going to have to brake even more, because I see drivers from the bomb, they enter on the bomb lane, they slide all the way up, and they're about to hit that outside wall, and that's not what you want to do, because you could cost yourself positions there.
Brandon Honeycutt, your race leader, as he regains the lead that, of course, he had started with on the pole position. Right now, he's got the Jersey Mike's machine. Oh, that's not Jersey Mike's. What is that on his hood? Let's take a quick peek here, as I think I've got that drone cam there. Dr. Enough?
Dr. Wahawa? I don't even know what that is.
Dr. Enough. Well, we'll be going to the SRM supercomputer to be asking it what in the world Dr. Enough is. And apparently it is a lemon-lime flavored soft drink that's fortified with vitamins and sold in Northeast Tennessee and Southwestern Virginia and North Carolina.
So it's like a southern drink?
Yep. It is apparently bottled by Tri-City Beverage in Johnson City, Tennessee, and is typically sold in glass bottles.
Oh,
well, so the next time you're in Tennessee, well, Northeast Tennessee or Southwestern Virginia or North Carolina, you can See if you can get a sip of Dr. Enough.
Doctor Enough. It sounds like the
Well, it's
doctor
kind of, you know what?
had
It reminds me of a little bit of A-Treat soda. Sam Kohlhaas registering a wreck as Kohlhaas is now back in 14th position. Let's see what happened here with him. See if we can't get a good shot here. Watching the 30. Oh, he rubs the wall. Oh. Yeah, that couldn't have been any worse for him. Let's take another look at that. Now, we can see Jonathan Leach here on his left side. Kohlhaas rubs the wall and just ricochets down. I mean, I don't think, at least from my perspective here in the blimp, I don't think that Jonathan could have done anything to avoid that, as it looks like it's going to be wholesale pit stops coming down pit lane. In fact, let's take a look here from Jonathan's point of view. One more time, we see Kohlhaas drifting up toward the wall. He's getting a little tight here.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Kohlhaas would have just made the turn like normal, you know, Jonathan never would have bumped into him. But unfortunately, there he was, and that bump was just enough to send him sideways. Let's see if we can get a hold of Brandon Honeycutt right now and have a quick chat, see how things are going. Bear with me here as we get him into the booth. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave and Daniel up in the broadcast booth. You got us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, man, listen, a good run so far for you. I mean, you know, you've been up there battling it out with the other Brandon Zimmerman. How does the car feel, and what kind of effects are you feeling on the racetrack tonight?
It's pretty slick. You just have to be easy on the throttle and easy on the brakes.
Are you finding that the car is tightening up deeper into the run, or is it getting just kind of wild and loose?
It hasn't got tight on me yet. I think I'm managing my tires pretty good. I think if you overheat your tires, they'll start to get pretty tight.
All right, man. Well, listen, the other thing is your paint scheme caused us to check out what Dr. Enough is. So Daniel and I have decided the next time us two Pennsylvanians wind up down there in Tennessee, North Carolina, or southwestern Virginia, we're going to have to look up Dr. Enough.
It's the best drink ever. Way better than Mountain Dew or Dr. Pepper.
You have my attention, sir. We'll be checking it out, my man.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. Well, Daniel, it sounds like, at least from Brandon's point of view, you know, the racetrack isn't necessarily tightening up, but obviously he's managing his tires pretty well.
Well, that's what you want to do, especially on a concrete track, Dave. You're going to see drivers manage their tire wear, because if we don't manage our tire wear, we're going to be ending up in the outside wall, and that's not what we want to happen.
No, and, you know, that's obviously what just happened there with Sam Kohlhaas, and we've seen it happen a couple of other times on the racetrack tonight. Of course, you know, Alan Bergen here in the 89, he's going to get a lap back, it looks, as everybody else came down. Sam Kohlhaas now coming off of pit road, so Bergen's going to get his lap back. Truth Hoke should be getting the lap back and back onto the lead lap itself, so that's going to be a good thing for him. And Bergen's only going to be a lap down. He's, you know, another quick caution, he could be right back in this thing.
Well, that's what you want to do, but if we do have a long green flag run, you absolutely do not want to go a lap down. That is not in what Alan wants, because, again, if you go 2 laps down, then he's going to have to wait even longer, and you can't wait here on these short tracks. They go by so fast, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, 31 laps in the books already tonight. We're averaging about 24 seconds a lap at this point. You know, I mean, fastest lap so far of the night is 23.34. I mean, we're going to start to see some of those times rip off as they're able to make a couple of, you know, tire pressure adjustments, a couple of chassis. I mean, I realize that's a fixed setup, but you can still change those creature comforts while you're driving these cars. So, Honeycutt, he's going to have to start to manage those tires and be able to beat everybody else as the iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. Brandon Honeycutt hits the Geico restart zone, drops the hammer, and here we go, lap number 32.
Holy moly. Look at that incredible launch there from the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt. Having an amazing launch there. You see, getting a little far out from the field coming off turn number 2.
They're really starting. It doesn't take them long to get up to full race speed here as we watch them exit turn number 4. I mean, Brandon Honeycutt all by his lonesome up here, already opening up a more than 1 second gap over Kensley Smith. And Smith here has already overtaken Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Zimmerman. Ira Kohlhaas rounds out your top 5. But these drivers in Andrew Teft working side by side here underneath the 8 car of Greg Robinson is already starting to make his move to go back forward in this piece. As side by side, my goodness, goes Diego Rodriguez and Brandon Zimmerman. We're going to zoom right in on these two. As Zimmerman, they nearly touch here coming down the back chute out of turn 2. This is going to be one of those battles that we're going to see all night long. I think Zimmerman wants a piece of Rodriguez, and Rodriguez not going to be giving it up too easy, as now Rodriguez has to tuck behind Zimmerman going into 1 and 2 one more time, and now they have to contend with Ira Kohlhaas, who wants to get in on this dance.
Well, if these guys battling side by side, yeah, that's going to allow the 13 of Honeycutt to just extend his lead. You see it right there on the left side of your screen. He has a 1.2 second lead over Kensley Smith in the 15 right now. So, I mean, these guys are going to have to figure it out soon.
Yeah, starting to watch here, Andrew Teft in the 98. I mean, he's, at this point in the race, he's not really threatening to his own health, but, he's starting to move up through the standings once again as he's now running in 6th, right where he started this piece off. Diego Rodriguez just in front of him by about 1/4 of a second. 37 laps in the books, so we're almost 1/4 of the way through this race already, and that's something impressive. I mean, this league, and, you and I have called several other leagues on the iRacing.com servers, and this league has to be among the best. I mean, we've seen flagged, green flag to checkered flag runs at some of the toughest racetracks on this circuit.
I've seen a lot more challenging racetracks than Dover, but I must say Dover is just a unique short track. I kind of think of it as kind of like Richmond and Bristol mixed together. I don't know how you describe it, Dave. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, you know what? I would say Richmond and Bristol got together, had a baby, and it was slightly larger than Bristol, but paved that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're going to ride along here with Jonathan Leach in the 86 machine, and he's currently trying to close in on the 56 of Noah Tansman and get his way into the top 10. Leach looks to the inside. He lets Tansman drift out high, but I'll tell you what, John was just able to get a little bit more speed here coming down the backstretch, and he's staying in the throttle a lot more. He's able to keep the race car underneath him as he goes side by side now with the 56 and just brushes him away like yesterday's dirt.
Wow.
Coming into turn 1, Jonathan Leach with the ballsy move getting himself into the top 10.
I don't know if that was a risky move or not a risky move. That could have went totally south. But, I mean, here's the top 3 pulling away just a little bit now. With Brandon Zimmerman, he was struggling a few laps earlier. I saw him sliding up the track. So far, he's kept it really clean and good. See the 29 Ira Kohlhaas. Dave, he's really not had a problem yet tonight. So if this 29 could keep going and get 2 more positions, I think he has a chance. As you see here, we're on lap 42 out of 160 already. This race is going to be flying by here in no time. And I mean, flying. But you're seeing on the left side of your screen on the pylon right here, you can see everybody in drivers 1 through 17 right now. You see everybody from 14th on back is either a lap or more down. They are going to have to hope for a caution to get their laps back. And right now, we're going to look outside your top 10. You see our very own Jonathan Leach right there in the 86, just inside the top 10, doing an excellent job here tonight. See Noah Tinsman in 11th place, You see the 25 of Shaw in 12th place, our own Bethlehem man right out there inside the top 10. But now we're going to look inside the top 10. Those were the guys outside the top 10 now we're looking at. So inside the top 10, this is an interesting driver, Dave. It's the 8 of Robinson. Very strong a few weeks ago, especially last week. But, I mean, he's doing excellent again inside top 10.
Noah Tansman here wants to get back up to where Jonathan Leach was, as Leach just kind of served him lunch coming down the back chute a few laps ago as we're here on lap 45. Noah Tansman trying to close that distance again, but he's having some kind of difficulty. We're watching right here Jason Bottoms in the 5. All kinds of tight and up atop the racetrack. We can see he's not able to get down here very close. He's either trying to save tires or he's not able to get down there, as we see him run the 5 machine about midline through that turn. As we work lap number 46, Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast Booth. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, making us a part of your evening, welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones, however you may be listening and watching. We want to thank you for that as we check out the youtube.com live chat, ISNF TV, the Regal Beagle. Listen, here's the thing, ISNF. I mean, I've got stuff going on the weekends. I can't be working every night of the week, that's for sure. But glad to have you with us, ISNF TV. Of course, that's Rhea Ferris. And then Jason Bottoms saying, come on, Jason Bottoms, get her done. The power of Kyle Larson compels you. I don't want to, my goodness. Jason Bottoms says he's lived in North Carolina for 10 years and has never seen or heard of Dr. Enough. But I'm telling you right now, I'm going to find it. I think, if I understand the verbiage correctly, Daniel, that Dr. Enough that we saw in the front of Brandon Honeycutt's machine here, it kind of is like A-Treat soda. Are you familiar?
Yeah, oh, don't even get me started on A-Treat, Dave. My favorite is the classic cream soda.
Are you serious?
Why? What's your
Cream
favorite?
soda. It's just, cream soda's just gross, period.
Now, okay, Dave, what's your favorite?
Okay, so in A-Treat soda, I like the blue raspberry or the double.
Yes.
Or the double ginger ale.
You know, I would actually say blue raz is my first pick, then cream soda. But I haven't gotten blue raz. All I see is big blue. But I finally found the blue raz in the little bottles at my old job. They actually carry it now.
Now, A-Treat soda, of course, an Eastern Pennsylvania thing, so to speak. I remember being a kid, and that was the special drink, because you could get A-Treat soda in darn near any flavor. So yeah. I'll tell you what we'll do is you and I will load up in the car, and we'll go down to Tennessee with a case of A-Treat soda, and we'll take it down to Elizabethton, Tennessee, where Brandon Honeycutt's from. And we'll have to drop off some A-Treat while we pick up Dr. Enough.
Hey, that sounds like a fair deal. I mean, he could try our Eastern soda, and we could try their Southern soda. See how it goes. Working on lap 52 here out of 160 in the Nextgen series. Kensley Smith got past the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, now taking the lead.
Kensley Smith steals the lead away from Brandon Honeycutt. We're going to take a quick peek here at the pass that he made as we go to the replay screen. Check this out. Kensley Smith just kind of waits his time out. Honeycutt right in front of him. He takes a little bit of air off that rear spoiler of the 13 and dives down in. When you take that air off, it almost instantly tightens the car, and instead of letting it get upset and, of course, wrecking, it's better to just kind of back off and let yourself slide right up and out of the way. It's better off than, wrecking, of course, here on lap 54 of 160. Kensley Smith, your new race leader, has the 15 Michael Waltrip throwback machine up here in the lead. Ira Kohlhaas has the 29. Again, this is kind of a weird throw. It's not really a throwback. It's the 29, so it looks like Kevin Harvick. It smells like Kevin Harvick, but it's not Kevin Harvick because it's got those DEI stripes down the side of it. Brandon Zimmerman rolls the 65 machine, that Planet Fitness Ford Mustang, in fourth, and Andrew Teft has the X-Side batteries, number 98, rolling around here in 5th position. Rodriguez, Kane, Robinson, Tansman, and Jonathan Leach round out your top 10 from here at Dover Motor Speedway. Of course, formerly known as Dover International Speedway, but then SMI bought the racetrack a couple of years ago and rebranded it Dover Motor Speedway. And quite frankly, who cares? It's still a mile long. It's still concrete. Miles the Monster still greets you out front on your way into the racetrack. And they still have Dover Downs horse racing nearby.
So 13 and Brandon Honeycutt there. Almost make a little contact there off the back of the wall there off of turn number 2. Now coming off turn number 4. Kensley Smith still leading the way. Zimmerman now falling back to 4th place. And last week, almost our winner was the 20 of Rodriguez, now in 6th position. So he's going to have to find something out here to get up into the top 5 and top 3.
You know, Dover Motor Speedway once upon a time was asphalt, but they actually laid the concrete down in 95. So, of course, in 1995, when they laid this concrete down, it went from a, don't get me wrong, the asphalt was fast and slick at Dover, but this stuff will be like a cheese grater if you get too high into the racetrack. It has a sweet spot, so to speak, here at Dover, and, I mean, they've been racing here since 1969. They've hosted at least one NASCAR Cup Series race since '69, and they had 2 per year from '71 to 2020. And of course, this is one of the racetracks that I think NASCAR needs to consider putting 2 races back on the schedule for, you know, yearly. I mean, first of all, 40 years, 50 years of 2 times a year here at Dover, and all of a sudden they cut it. What, to add COTA? To add the Chicago Street Course?
Sense.
Give me a break.
Makes no sense. No, I think Dover needs to go back in the playoffs. I think it's a great track to be in the playoffs, to be honest with you, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, this racetrack here, basically there's a lot of history locked up in this old track. We're going to take a look here at some of the qualifying records in the Cup Series. Denny Hamlin in 2019 in the October race, of course, which we don't have anymore. Denny Hamlin laid the fast time down at 21.559 seconds. That's freaking quick. That's freaky fast is what it is. Now, the race, of course, fastest time was 3 hours, 58 minutes, and 12 seconds in 1990 for the 500-miler that we used to have here in Bill Elliott's Ford Thunderbird back in 1990. Eric Jones back in 2016 laid Xfinity fast time, and Brett Moffitt laid fast time in 2019. So it seems like the 20 teens were a lot of speed here in the top 3 series. Now, the Cup statistics here for wins and top 5, so on and so forth, this is not the normal records that we see. Usually we see a lot of Dale Earnhardt, we see a lot of Richard Petty. This is kind of an interesting racetrack for that. Jimmy Johnson has 11 wins here at the Monster Mile. First of all, that's a lot, especially when you consider that through most of this racetrack's history, it's seen drivers like David Pearson, Richard Petty, Donnie Allison, Davey Allison. You know, you've seen some of the biggest names that are now NASCAR Hall of Famers. But Jimmy Johnson ticks off 11 wins here at Dover. Mark Martin, of course, was fast through most of the 90s and into the 2000s, has 24 top 5s and 33 top 10s. David Pearson, who I just talked about a minute ago, has 6 poles here, while the youngest winner, of course, Chase Elliott, at 22 years, 10 months, 8 days. So thank you to Wikipedia for providing the NASCAR Cup Series statistics. Always appreciative of that. Chase Elliott led back in 2019. He was the fastest lap at 22.203 seconds in his Chevy Camaro.
Look at the gap, Dave, between the top 2 all the way back to 3rd place. I mean, it's a pretty big gap. It's getting there, yeah. There's going to be cars getting lapped down again pretty soon.
I mean, there's a half second between Honeycutt and Smith at the top of the pile. And then all of a sudden, it just falls off to about another second and a half and then some back to Kohlhaas.
Look at Dennis Kane still inside top 10, currently sitting 7th. I mean, Dave, Dennis Kane, he's just been really, really good this season. I don't know what it was, but something clicked with that 4 machine, and he's been getting out good results.
a lot of these race seasons are determined on momentum, and sometimes you have a really good race, and that momentum will start to carry you through week after week after week. I mean, if you finish mid-pack to mid-rear pack, it's going to be discouraging over time. But if you can string together maybe a couple of top 15s, a couple of top 10s, a win here or there, all of a sudden, wow, look at Diego Rodriguez looking to the inside of Andrew Teft, stealing away fifth position.
He's going to slide up.
Diego just found yet another gear here in the Nextgen car. Wow. A really big shoe. But, if you can get some confidence in your hands as you're going to wheel these machines around this racetrack. Whoa! Loose as a goose is Andrew Teft coming out of 4 and down the front stretch. Once you get some of that momentum and some of that confidence, all of a sudden you can feel unstoppable. Now, that confidence can do one of two things. It can either make you feel invincible, or it can make you feel like you can do nothing wrong until something bad happens to you out here on the racetrack.
You're correct on that. And with Dover, I think when we always come to Dover, I think the most important thing is tire wear. I'm just going to say it. Just because you mentioned, Dave, it's like a cheese grater. You don't go to any other short track like Richmond, like Bristol, like Martinsville, that chews your tires up as quick as Dover.
72 laps in the books. We're approaching the halfway point of this race. Let's watch Dennis Kane work his way around Andrew Teft as we ride with Dennis here. We can see Teft basically being left in the dust as we spin that camera around here on the roof of the 4. Now all of a sudden Teft trying to hold on, and here's the thing. Here's something that we haven't really spoken about, and we're going to have to start talking about it. This is basically the elephant in the room, for lack of a better term. Everybody's pit strategy. Most of everybody here in the top 10, in fact, everybody in the top 10 came in at the same time. They've all got 44 laps on these tires. Here's the deal, though. Now you're getting to the point in the run where here 45 laps for Smith. When do you start thinking about coming in? How long can you hold that off? I mean, let's look at the last lap times of most of these drivers. As last lap time was 24.59 seconds for Smith. His best time was 23.44. So we're going to start to see some of these times wear off. Now, you have to understand that everybody's times are going to start to melt about the same rate. But, how long do those tires hold on for? And can you match that up with the fuel load in the car?
Already on lap 75, Dave, we're going to have to be getting close to pit stops here.
Yeah, with 46 laps on the cars now, I'm starting to get curious. What's going to happen here is we're going to go... All of these drivers last came in on lap 28. They've got plenty of tires left down there in the pits. Are they of course, 28 is when we were under caution. The question becomes, do they try to make green flag pit stops? Because let's just take a look here from above the racetrack and see exactly, while we also look at the time delta. Look at that gap. My God. That's impressive. Nearly a full second gap now between Kensley Smith and Brandon Honeycutt, as that gap has gotten ever wider. So that means that Honeycutt's
just
been
going to get wider.
Heart out. Well, Honeycutt's
just going to get wider.
Driving his heart out. But now take a look at these lap times from Smith. Back on lap 73, he lays down a 24.597. He's now at 24.553. He's getting faster. He had a couple of slower laps on 75 and 76, but that was probably getting around lap cars. He's getting faster overall. Let's see what it was here on 78. 24.683. So that time Honeycutt was actually 200th of a second faster than Kensley Smith. As we get that out of the way, let's take a look here from above the racetrack and see where the entrance to pit road is, because it's a good one. Right there. He just blew on past it here on the front stretch. We're going to go here to the chopper cam, and maybe we can see this. Let's see. We'll go to the nose. I was trying to avoid using this one. But here we are. As you come out of turn 4, you have, first of all, that's an insane transition. So while you're coming out of 4, you've got to be able to transition down to the bottom, don't wreck and have the rear end of the car slide out on you, and then manage to get down to pit road speed. And pit road here is small and tight. There's not a whole lot of room for error, so to speak, and you've got to slide that thing in there just nice and easy. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen around you.
That's why I said, Dave, before this race got underway, we're going to have to see these drivers tackle a challenge on pit road. It's going to be hard. And Dover, it's not easy at Dover. And like you said, it's narrow. And, you know, we see a lot of drivers speed on. We see a lot of drivers spin out coming on the pit road. That's how challenging this pit road is. And this is why we're always mentioning this stuff.
Well, and, you know, here's the thing. Kensley Smith's got this big old wide number 15. He's got to get down here on pit road. It's going to happen as they're too wide behind him. Now, let's check this out. Just behind Kensley Smith is Truth Hoke in the 59, and then Brandon Honeycutt in the 13. Of course, they've got the 88 in front of them. You can get away with, you know, 2 wide here at Dover. You can try to squeeze 3 wide, but you're bound to make a mistake. Getting here from the racetrack and onto pit road, it's tight, it's slick, and you're going to do nothing but slide into there to that tiny little spot and hope to God that you don't kill anything on your way in.
Well, we're going to find out when pit stops happen. So, you're on lap 84 at 160. This is literally the long green flag stretch that I expected from Dover, and this is it right here. But I mean, this wide of a gap, this is not what I was expecting at all. But I mean, I think it's going to be one of those races where it's going to be, once you're out front, Dave, you're going to start dominating.
Clean air is incredibly important to your point here at Dover. I mean, you know, once you get out there and you can get a face full of clean air, I mean, you can really just let everything go and let everybody else behind you fight it out in the wake of your storm. You know, when you're hitting that clean air, which, you know, here's the unfortunate thing. Kensley Smith, he's got clean air in front of him for now, but bad things are going to happen once he gets around more lap cars. It's going to start to affect his own speed. That's when you have to make the decision. Do you let Jason Bottoms or Greg Robinson or Ira Kohlhaas, I'm sorry, that's not Ira Kohlhaas, that's Sam Kohlhaas, my God. But, you know, you want to be able to try to get a faceful there. Whoa! As the rear end just kind of waggles around here. Wobble, baby, wobble. As we get on through here to turn number 4.
We're going to be coming to the line with 72 laps remaining in this event here at Dover. And I know these drivers, they're all fighting for every position. They're fighting for a win. And that's because the regular season is coming close to an end. Next week, they have one shot. And that's at, you know, Darlington, and that's a tricky track. You know, both ends are completely different. But, you know, we go to Darlington, then we go to Michigan, we start the chase. So it all matters how Kensley Smith does, because Kensley Smith last season got through the playoffs very, very good. Just didn't capitalize on it, but got very good at it. So I expect him to be in the playoffs. I expect, you know, all these drivers inside top 10 to make the playoffs. But, I mean, Dave, what's the situation here for the playoffs? How does this work?
Playoffs here should be your top 12, and I'll get confirmation on that as we get in here. In fact, let's see if I can pull that up here on Sim Racer Hub. Yeah, it should be top 12 drivers that make the playoffs in the Racers Elite Next Gen Cup Series as we work lap number 90. 50 to go right now. Little $half piece coming through here, and we're making fantastic time as we take a look here at Jonathan Leach in the 86. That'll make him happy. He doesn't have to pay me as much as he's going to work around here in the 86. He's got Kensley Smith behind him, but the distance that's currently between Kensley Smith and Jonathan Leach, I think we're kind of looking at, well, about 20 seconds. So Kensley Smith net about 4 seconds behind Jonathan Leach to put him a lap down. I think we're going to see Kensley come down pit road beforehand.
Gotta be coming down pit road soon at any time here. With 92 laps in out of 160, I'm going to look on our leaderboard right now. Top 10 still all staying the same. But, I mean, look at these times. I mean, literally, 19 seconds back, and that's just 7th place. Go all the way back to Jonathan Leach, 21 seconds. That's huge. I've never seen a gap this big at a Dover race.
Well, you know, you don't want to see gaps that large, that's for sure. It's definitely not fun when you're playing from behind and, you know, all of a sudden you realize that that's way more than you can handle as a driver here at Dover Motor Speedway. Kensley Smith leads the way here. However, on lap number 94, he's coming to the line. It's going to be 95 this time by. So we should be at lap... here we come. The 88's going to be coming into pit road this time. So the lap cars are going to come first, as they've already had their struggles on the racetrack. So here comes Troy Thomas down pit road. Now, you saw how he had to get down there. It looks easy, but it's certainly not. And I believe I just heard Brandon Zimmerman doing the same thing.
Well, you know who I saw come in early to pit road, Dave, was the 98 of Andrew Teft. So I think once they noticed him going down pit road, now you're going to start seeing more drivers come down pit road. It's always that first driver to make that decision, and then the rest follow.
Brandon Zimmerman coming down pit road. Now that leaves Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, and Ira Kohlhaas atop the pile. Diego Rodriguez doing the same thing. Lots of drivers calling it out now as we start to see many of these other drivers think about, is this going to be the time? 97 laps in the books. Green flag pit stops underway. This isn't something that we see very often at Dover Motor Speedway, but here we are killing it tonight. Dennis Kane going to get 4 Mr. Feelgoods and a tank of Go Fast. Kensley Smith now comes down pit road. That cycles Brandon Honeycutt into the lead. Now the question's going to be, because Kensley Smith doesn't have that front pit box, he's going to be able to get in here a little bit faster than some of the other drivers. So that should benefit him, I would say, pretty well. Now, Jonathan Leach, who was in danger of going down a lap, he's now coming down pit road with Kensley Smith, so that's going to cycle him almost near the lead when these green flag pit stops conclude.
There comes our very own bossman, Jonathan Leach.
Jonathan down pit road. He's about 2 boxes behind Kensley Smith, who is away. Jonathan going to get his pit service. He goes up on the right side, down, up on the left side. Here it comes. Boom. As he's going to get it done. Ira Kohlhaas now shuffles to the front of the pack. Now Brandon Honeycutt down pit road, our pole sitter. Kirby Wayne Scott in the 10 car. Finger licking good. Number 10, that is, in the KFC machine. He overshoots his pit box. Brandon Zimmerman just laid fast time down at 23.32 seconds. So now we're going to have to see where all of these other drivers, right now, many of these other drivers don't want to see the caution come out because they'll wind up trapped a lap down.
.9 Ira Kohlhaas coming down pit road. And that leaves the 8 of Robinson in second place right now, 18 seconds back.
Ira Kohlhaas comes up. Greg Robinson now getting around Kohlhaas. Now we'll see that field reshuffle. The question is going to be, for some of these drivers that were close to going a lap down, do they get it back this time by? As Robinson down pit road, last on lap number 75. Now we'll take a look here at pit strategy and see where each of these drivers came down. 28 laps first for Robinson, then ran 47 before coming down pit road, and now 25 on this set of laps. So he's got quite a while to go here, about 20 more laps before he decides it's going to be time to bring the 8-car pit side, at least if he's going to try to stay the course and try to make up some time. So this is where pit strategy and sometimes that mad scientist mentality has to come into play. So what we're going to do is we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media, but don't go away. We'll be going NASCAR side by side, so you won't miss a thing. I'm Dave Regal, he's Daniel Paulus, and this is Sim Racing Media.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Dover Motor Speedway, where Tarboro, North Carolina's very own Kensley Smith leads the way right now as he is the Pied Piper of the first state here in Delaware, as he is currently 1.44 seconds faster than Brandon Honeycutt. Dave Regal and Daniel Paulus Jr. with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial broadcast booth. Daniel, we have watched some incredible racing, just one caution this evening.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the longest green flag run so far tonight from Dover, already on lap 115. So we're past halfway, well past halfway. And with Kensley Smith leading once again, I think it's going to be kind of hard for anybody to catch him unless the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt could get up to him.
Diego Rodriguez makes the move over top of Greg Robinson. He brings along Brandon Zimmerman, who started on the outside of row number 1 when we dropped the green flag tonight here on lap 116. So Rodriguez just got himself back up onto the podium as he now trails Brandon Honeycutt by just about, 9 seconds. That's a fun one.
Yeah, you can say that again. 13's going to have to figure something out here. I mean, he's the closest one of them all, a lot closer than them all, but the 20 of Rodriguez back up in the top 3 once again. Does he stay there? We're going to have to see how this plays out. But, I mean, if he could get a solid top 3 tonight, I think that'd be pretty good for him.
Yeah, Kensley Smith right now looks to get win number 3 on the season as he leads us here on lap 118. Just about 42 to go this time by at the line. As Brandon Honeycutt runs P2, Diego Rodriguez in 3rd, Brandon Zimmerman in 4th, Dennis Kane in 5th. Just 7 cars on the lead lap as Greg Robinson last came down on lap number 75, makes the transition. He gets quickly onto the asphalt. Oh! And there it is. Let's take a look here and see exactly what I was talking about as far as transitioning here onto that lower surface. He makes the transition, but it takes a lot to woe these cars up. And, he locks that front right wheel and just rubs those contact barrels.
I feel like if he came down, a little bit earlier, I think he would have been fine. But I mean, I think he came down a little too late, just in my opinion, just of coming on the pit road. I think that's what caused it. But when you come down pit road at Dover, Dave, you want to come down, I would say maybe the entrance of turn number 3 right about here, just before it starts, the banking, just so you don't get loose coming on the pit road.
Riding along here with Kensley Smith. As Kensley Smith right now leads us, he's nice and comfortable up here in the 15 machine. I mean, right now you've got yourself a 1.14 second lead over Brandon Honeycutt. Plenty of time. He's got that offset just cocked over to the right ever so slightly, so he's got some good muscle memory as he gets into this rhythm. And that's a lot of what racing at Dover is about, getting into a good rhythm. You're going to have those same braking points for a long time before, all of a sudden you've got to do something with the braking points as we get that driver information out of there. Go back out here to the outside of the car, but now just six cars left on the lead lap. Jonathan Leach just gobbled up here, and he would currently be the first car a lap down, so he would be our lucky dog as he's about 4 seconds ahead and growing ahead of Paul Shaw.
Well, with Jonathan Leach going lap down, now the 98 of Andrew Teft is in the hunt to go a lap down. So let's see if anybody from 6th on up can stay on the lead lap here.
I'll tell you what, this race is getting more strung out than the line in front of a methadone clinic, that's for sure.
Oh, man.
These drivers, there's a lot of gaps between them. I know I talked about it earlier, just starting with 17 drivers. Looks like Alan Bergen's decided to put it on the hauler for the time being. But, these drivers, they've got nothing but time to try to slide around here. And, it gets slick, it gets wet, it gets wild here at Dover because, the concrete here takes that rubber and just kind of spreads the rubber all the way around.
So you can say that again. But look at your leaderboard, Dave. I see somebody closing in on this 15.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at Brandon Honeycutt and the time delta between these two drivers, because this is something that we've started to see now consistently. Honeycutt was gaining by a tenth, maybe 200, 300th of a second. That last lap on 126, he managed to gain 16/10 of a second. He goes to 300th of a second now on 127. So obviously Brandon Honeycutt has figured out something that nobody else has so far, and that's a way to try to close it on Kensley Smith, as Smith has just absolutely gone out here to run a clinic to show how things get done in the Racers Elite Next Gen Series.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be running a clinic anymore after the 13 closing in a little bit. Now 7/10 behind. So, I mean, if this 13 has an opportunity to, you know, wash this 15 up the track a little bit, I think it's going to happen.
They've already gotten through the most tense part of the race, you know, getting through those green flag pit stops. We may have to see another one come through here soon, as lap 130 is under our belts. We'll take a quick peek here at the pit strategy one more time, because now we're going to start to see some variations of when pit stops began. You know, everybody gets to take a hit, you know, or take a turn getting down on pit road. They had, you know, in some cases 69, 68, 67 laps in that last stint, 63 laps for Andrew Teft. But, you know, and now Teft has the oldest tires in this stint. Here's the deal, though. They're all, at least probably in the next couple of laps, going to consider coming down for pit service.
Well, we're just going to have to see how that plays out. But, I mean, is that going to shake up anything, really? I mean, do you really think the 15 is going to want to come down pit road? Do you see maybe somebody else going down pit road before the 15?
I think if we get a caution, we're going to see everybody come down pit road. But if we stay green, this is going to be, you know, a short stop race, that's for sure.
Now the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, now 4/10 of a second back, closing even more. I think that 13 knows a line that the 15 obviously doesn't know yet. But, I mean, if I was the 15, I'd be starting to get a little worried. You're wondering if Kensley Smith used up that tire wear. Is it chewing away his tires too fast? Unlike, you know, the 13 who may be laying back a little bit and now starting to put more pressure on the 15.
Yeah, looking back from Kensley Smith's bumper to, his rear bumper onto Brandon Honeycutt's nose, you can start to see Honeycutt ever so gently closing in. He's just kind of got to really massage his way into this lead. He's got to soften Smith up. And every turn on exit, it looks like Brandon Honeycutt getting a run now on Kensley Smith, as he's going to start to close in on Kensley Smith's rear.
He's going to be there within a lap. I already know it. I can see it. He's going to be there within a lap or two. Just, I mean, he washes up the track a little bit, but there's that run he's getting off of turn number 4. That looks like that's his strongest spot right now.
Yeah, Brandon Honeycutt going to start to look to the inside of Kensley Smith now. He gets a little tight here, and this is the kind of racetrack where you almost have to be neutral as far as your setup goes. You don't want to be too loose. You don't want to be too tight. If you get too loose, it's kind of like, you know, putting your face in front of an air compressor and just hitting the button. It just makes your cheeks flap all over crazy, and that's what happens here at Dover. The wind here can affect individual lap times. We saw it a couple of years ago in Cup Series qualifying and in Xfinity Series racing. As
there he
now
is.
Kensley Smith looks to the inside. Brandon Honeycutt looks to the inside of Kensley Smith. They go side by side in a battle for the lead. Brandon Honeycutt looks to serve lunch to Kensley Smith, and they are now drag racing down the front stretch, crossing the start-finish line on 138. And Kensley Smith says, I'm not done yet.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if that 29 of Aaron Kohlhaas gets on the inside of the 15, but now it doesn't look like it, because now the 15's back up front. I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty good battle here, because the 13's going to try to get on the inside once again. Got a little squirrely right there off of turn number 4, but if this 13 wants a shot, he's going to have to move him, I think.
Yeah, we might have to see a forcible move. We might have to grab him by that left rear and just kind of shove him out of the way. You know, but here's the thing. In this league, that's not the way that they drive. And, you know, it looks like Honeycutt has figured out that if he stays just a little higher, he can keep the tires a little cooler. But, you know, the more times that he tries to attack the inside of the 15, the more times that we're going to see him wind up, you know, using more rubber than he really needs to.
Well, there he goes. He's going to try the inside. He's right there. He's trying. But you see him closing in inch by inch. He's going to try to stay on the inside of that quarter panel. Not going to do it. I think he's going to have to do a little dive bomb there and push the 15 out of the way pretty soon. Because I think the 13 might get a little frustrated knowing that there's less than 20 laps to go after this lap.
Brandon Honeycutt looks to the inside one more time here. And he's
there he goes.
Desperately. Here he goes. He feathers the throttle. He gets just alongside of Kensley Smith in the 15, and he just can't do it. He said, I don't have the power, Captain. I'm trying, but I don't. As now with 19 laps to go, he's trying to put the moves here on Kensley Smith. I don't know if he can get in there. It's almost like Kensley Smith is playing some really strong defense.
Well, what he's trying to do is he entered high, tried to get a run off of turn 4. In the 15, you see the 15's not struggling in the corner. But you're seeing how he's using more of the inside line as to where the 13's using that middle groove. There he is, side by side. Almost a little contact there. This 13's trying the top line now. He's going to try to get that run off turn 4. If he could stick it there, I think he has a shot.
Yeah, Kensley Smith trying to put Brandon Honeycutt in the friend zone, and Honeycutt really wants to just hold his hand and get around here and do the best that he can. As now he's got Kohlhaas on the low side, the 59 again of Truth Hoke. So now they've got a pair of lap cars between them as we take a peek here from the hood once again. I mean, you know, now he's got 2 obstacles in the way here with 17 to go. I think he may have just blown the proverbial load here. And, you know, may not have enough to try to get back up to Kensley.
I think there's going to need to be a caution now. I mean, he's almost a second back. He's 0.8 of a second back. I think right there he used his tire wear for sure. But with these 2 lap cars, it's just not helping at all. It's just going to allow the 15 to pull away.
15 laps to go, and the 15 leads us here in that Michael Waltrip DEI throwback paint scheme. Makes me want to go get some Napa know-how and head on over to my local auto parts store. At least he found the right track, unlike Michael did. Are you too young for that ad campaign? I think you are. Michael Waltrip shows up at the wrong track. No. Oh! Smoke! And there are cars just everywhere. Let's take a look here. Here's the caution that Honeycutt needed. A rub of the wall from Diego Rodriguez shoves down against the 98 of Teft, and
was that a retaliation? Like,
nah.
Racing incident.
Teft gets right up there. He just takes some air off of the 20.
Yeah.
Oy.
That's a hard hit for Dover, I must say. Well, now that changes everything. I'm assuming everybody's going to come down pit road, get tires, get fuel.
Our cameraman was kind of scared when that happened. It happened right in front of him. One more time, we'll take a look here. Maybe we can get it from the digger. Because here they're going to come into turn 1 right here. They just come to a rest, almost a thankful rest, if you will. As, yep, here they come. Everybody going to come down pit road here on the lead lap. Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, Dennis Kane, and Brandon Zimmerman. That's going to allow Jonathan Leach, Andrew Teff, Paul Shaw to stay out on track and consider whether or not they can make it the rest of the way. So with 12 laps to go, Kensley Smith leads this piece. Let's see if we can get a hold of him. Hey, Kensley, it's Dave and Daniel up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, listen, here you are with 12 laps to go. You're going to lead this piece when the green flag flies again. What's going to be the strategy now that obviously you've got 4 tires, a tank of Go Fast, and Honeycutt in hot pursuit behind you?
All stations are go. I'm not saving tires. I am going.
So, in other words, you're going to be full send Smith is what I'm hearing.
Yep, but it looks like I have a excess speeding, but I never sped, so I'll have to talk to the race controller about that.
Oh, dear. All right, well, listen, we'll let you work that out with race control. But, folks, ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like it's going to be full send Smith here in the waning parts of this race. Brandon Honeycutt making the pass here past Kensley Smith. They'll have to see if they can sort this out. So we're going to get Kensley on back down into his team chat here. As we're waiting for race control to make a decision here on whether or not Kensley Smith sped on pit road, we want to thank everybody for tuning in once again, checking us out on the youtube.com live chat. Let us know what you're watching, who you're paying attention to tonight, whether here on the racetrack or anything else that's on your mind here in the youtube.com live chat. Glad to have everybody with us tonight as kind of a sparse group, if you will. This is probably the smallest crowd that we've had watching us all season long, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to change everything. I'm pretty excited, Dave. I mean, we're really going to see how Kensley Smith, I know he's starting 4th, but I mean, you got 3 strong drivers from him. You got Honeycutt, Kane, and Zimmerman. I mean, I think there's going to be some pushing and shoving. But, I mean, that could cause another caution, so I think we're going to have to see what happens.
Well, it looks like Kensley Smith will be charged with excessive speeding on pit road. They got him doing 37 and a 35.
Oh, no. Not what Kensley Smith
unfortunately,
wanted.
Kensley Smith going to have to cede the lead. Brandon Honeycutt now going to be your race leader, followed by Dennis Kane on the outside of row 1. Brandon Zimmerman, Kensley Smith, Jonathan Leach, Paul Shaw, and Kirby Wainscott, the 7 cars here on the lead lap. Jonathan's right here in the top 5. He's got a shot, and I'm just saying, not just because we're very good friends and I love the guy to death, but I'd really like to see Jonathan try to make a run here with now what will be 9 to go at the line when the green flag waves.
Well, with Kensley Smith getting a penalty, here we are, stacked up once again, 10 laps to go. Second caution, only the second caution here tonight from Dover. I know, you think there'd be more, right? It's a short track, but not tonight here in the Racers Elite Series. Pace car makes its way off of pit road, Dave.
The man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. Brandon Honeycutt hits the Geico restart zone, drops the loud pedal, and here we go. 9 left to go here at Dover Motor Speedway. Brandon Honeycutt just gets the jump that he's been hungry for all night long. He's got an angry and frustrated Kensley Smith running back in 4th position now as these drivers heat things up. This is going to be for all the marbles.
Well, for all the marbles, here we are, 8 laps to go here from the Monster Mile with the 13 out front. That 13 needed that caution to get past the 15th Kensley Smith. If that caution never came out, I think Kensley Smith would have had this race. But now, here is a change of events. Now we have Zimmerman after the 13, and then behind him, we have the 4 Dennis Kane getting the top 3 so far.
Looking back from Brandon Honeycutt to Brandon Zimmerman, Honeycutt just ran fastest time of the race at 23.24 seconds. We look ahead from Brandon Zimmerman out of his roll bar, and right now this young man here from Gloucester is absolutely driving his heart out trying to get after Brandon Honeycutt. So just the way that we started this race, the 2 Brandons up front leading us through the racetrack now. 6 laps to go from Dover Motor Speedway as Brandon Honeycutt, your Pied Piper of Delaware right now, named for Count de Loire, as now Honeycutt with 6 laps to go has to hold off Zimmerman and Kane. It seems like he was just shot out of a cannon, though.
Well, you're looking at Zimmerman. He's 0.6 of a second back. We saw that at the 13 Honeycutt. You can get to the leader with behind 0.6, but here's the thing. Gotta find the line. And that line at the 65 I'm watching right now is not the preferred line. I think he needs to enter a little bit in that middle or high groove and then get that good corner exit to catch up to our leader. And now with 4 laps to go, I just don't see it happening. I mean, maybe if a caution comes out, but you see right there, 65 just hit that outside wall again.
Brandon Honeycutt looking for his second win on the season as he leads us now with what will be 3 laps to go right here at the line. And Brandon Honeycutt, earlier on in the season, he won the event at Daytona 80 laps back in February, our opening night. So he hasn't been in victory lane since it was still winter time, as now we're here in the midst of spring on April 25th, 2024. He rolls it out of turn number 4, crossing the start-finish line, popsicle sticks in the air. We're 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go here from Dover, coming off of turn number 2 with Honeycutt leading the way here. I don't know if he had my pick. I don't know if I had his pick, but let me tell you, wasn't expecting to see Honeycutt win this race with Kensley Smith leading the way the whole time.
Brandon Honeycutt crosses the start-finish line. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air, and we're racing back to checkers. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an incredible race this evening as, you know, Brandon Zimmerman here in the 65 is chasing Honeycutt down. There's just not enough time. I don't even know if there would have been enough time. Brandon Honeycutt has absolutely muscled his way back here into the lead, crossing the start-finish line and capturing the checkered flag at Dover Motor Speedway.
And look who finished 4th, Dave, just outside the top 3, the 15 of Kensley Smith. And our very own boss man, Jonathan Leach, with a top 5 tonight. He sure be happy with that.
Paul Shaw, Kirby Wainscott, Andrew Teft, Noah Tansman, and Ira Kohlhaas round out your top 10. A couple of drivers putting it on the hauler early tonight. But Brandon Honeycutt, he's going to come down and celebrate here on the front stretch at Dover Motor Speedway. He deserves to burn the house down here in Dover.
Going to get interviews on shortly here with our top 3. With that being said, we have Brandon Honeycutt, 65 of Brandon Zimmerman, and the 4 of Dennis Kane, who will begin interviewed here momentarily.
Still trying to find. We've got Brandon Honeycutt. We're waiting to find Brandon Zimmerman. So while we wait for Brandon Zimmerman to slide on here into the Discord channel, let's get race winner Brandon Honeycutt with us here in the broadcast booth. Hey, Brandon, it's Dave and Daniel up in the booth. You got us.
I got you.
Hey, man, listen, great finish to tonight's race. I mean, you qualify on the pole. You know, you're always hanging around the lead all night long, and you know, just when things couldn't have gotten any better for for Kensley Smith, running now in 4th position. He gets that speeding penalty, and you wind up here in the lead. How does it feel to come to victory lane?
It's nice. That caution really helped. If it wouldn't have been for that, I think Kensley would have had it for sure. He was denying that he was speeding. I was talking to him. We're on the same team. He was trying to get out of it.
Yeah, we heard him on race radio, and I guess they caught him doing 37 and a 35. And, you know, that may be okay on I-95, which runs through Delaware, but it's not okay here on the Monster Mile.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, next week, you know, of course, we're going to Darlington for the regular season finale. Obviously, tonight, adding this to your win total since you brought home the checkered flag at Daytona, you're going to be nice and secure here in that top 12. What are you thinking playoff-wise as we get ready to do that later on this year?
I'm glad I'm winning it now because Darlington is a tough track, and I don't expect to be towards the front in that one unless I get a lot of practice this week.
Yeah, you'll wind up being able to kind of cool off at Darlington. I mean, look, with 2 wins under your belt, there's only a few other drivers with 1 win that could equal your 2. But I think as far as points go, as I'm looking at them now, you should be pretty well ensconced up here. You're in 5th right now. You'll probably gain a little bit on Dennis Kane. So points wise, I think you're nice and secure to get into the playoffs with a good head of steam.
Nice. It's good to hear.
But all right, man. Well, listen, congratulations here on the checkered flag and the win at Dover Motor Speedway. Before we cut you loose, who helps you get it done here on the 13 machine?
My team. It's Kinsley and Ira, Sam, Brandon. They help a lot. We practice together a lot.
All right, man. Well, listen, congratulations once again here on the win. We want to thank you for, putting a good show on for us tonight, and we'll see you next week at Darlington.
Thanks.
That, of course, the voice of race winner Brandon Honeycutt, driver of the number 13 machine. As we move him back on down here, we're still looking for Brandon Zimmerman, and I don't see him. So, Daniel, I believe you have with you now Dennis Kane, driver of the number 4.
Yeah, Dave, I'm down here with the 4 of Dennis Kane. Dennis, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, pretty good. Not too bad. How about you guys up there?
Hey, we're doing fantastic. It was a great race, and hey, man, top 3.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, this is not one of my better tracks.
So tell us, fans and broadcasters, how was your car tonight? How was the track feeling for you?
I mean, again, like I said, it's not one of my better tracks. I just feel like I'm fighting it all night. I seem to be a little bit okay in the long run. Seem where we make up a lot of my spots, make up a lot of my position. That's probably just how I drive. But yeah, I'm just super excited to come away with the 3rd place finish tonight. I said on one of my not so good tracks with the playoffs coming up soon.
Well, you're having a great season so far. You got that win earlier in the season at Auto Club. You got top 3 here. You've been consistent throughout the other races. So, we have Darlington next week, and then, the chase is starting. So what's your plan for the rest of the season?
Just to keep having good finishes. Like I said, I'm going to Darlington again, not one of my better tracks. I kind of struggle at the shorter tracks. Just trying to keep it close. I kind of eyeballing Michigan in the playoffs. I really eyeballing Texas, and I think I can get a win there. So I'm trying to keep it close in the standings until we get to Texas.
All right. Well, do you have anybody you would like to thank here tonight from Dover?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody. The SRM and the league. I want to thank my mom and my dad. Sorry to get a little choked up. He's not doing very well. So this good finish and performance tonight was for him.
Well, our prayers will be with you, Dennis, and thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
That is the 4 of Dennis Kane. Dave, back to you.
Thank you, Daniel. And of course, we'll be keeping Dennis Kane's father in our prayers. Not sure what the medical issue is, but we are family here on iRacing. Of course, this is more than just a forum to go ahead and beat our brains against the wall for a couple hours a week, but it's also a community. It's a family. It's a group of like-minded individuals, and so our hearts go out to Dennis Kane. But tonight, the story is all about Brandon Honeycutt bringing home the checkered flag here at Dover Motor Speedway. He was joined on the podium, of course, by Brandon Zimmerman and Dennis Kane. Unfortunately, we could not get a hold of Brandon Zimmerman. Kensley Smith finishes in 4th, and Jonathan Leach rounds out your top 5. Paul Shaw, Kirby Wainscott, and Andrew Teft finish 6th, 7th, and 8th, while Noah Tansman and Ira Kohlhaas bring home the 29 in 10th position. Gregory Robinson finishes in 11th, while Troy Thomas and Truth Hoke finish 12th and 13th. Sam Kohlhaas and Diego Rodriguez finish 14th and 15th, while Jason Bottoms and Alan Bergen round out the rest of the field. So, tonight just 17 drivers take the green flag. 17 drivers make it here to the end. Unfortunately for Jason Bottoms and Alan Bergen, down several laps. It's a shame, but unfortunately somebody has to do it, especially at a place like Dover Motor Speedway. We look forward to next week going to Darlington Raceway. of course, in the bread and butter track of all that is just southeastern United States racing, of course, in all but the birthplace of NASCAR for sure. Hopefully we get to see some throwback paint schemes next week. I always enjoy seeing those at Darlington. It just feels right. So for myself, Dave Regal, and Daniel Paulus, we want to thank you folks for making us a part of your evening here on YouTube.com, welcoming us into your home, onto your phones, and however else you may be tuning in to us tonight. So thank you once again for that. And as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.